We're back at it again. This is V. This is gonna be a bit of a different video than I usually post. I mean, it's not like super different because it's low key a bit of me just like talking and sort of complaining, but I'm also I guess talking about like politics. Now, me personally, I'm not really sure what the fuck I'm doing with my life. And I really just have this channel to hopefully like get some opportunities or some shit, because I have no fucking money and no job experience and like anything. But anyway, um, that's not even fucking funny. But no, seriously. So this channel originally, still is like low key for me to just like talk about any fucking thing, considering I have no one to talk to. Um, but I'm also like want to try to use this to like get my work out there. My work, what the fuck could that be? No, but in saying that, this is a bit of a more, I guess, just like directed video, if you will. As in, I will be discussing political issues, but again, it's just like anything I want to fucking talk about. And I guess if you don't like that, go somewhere else. But today I want to be talking about feminism. And I already know I heard a collective groan from incels and ignorance alike. But no, like seriously. Also, this is another thing before I even actually like say what the fuck I want to say. I've seen so many people who are like, "Oh, if you want people to understand, like whatever, then you can't talk to people like they're stupid, like you can't talk to people like they don't know anything." And it's like, yeah, I understand that wholeheartedly, like I completely agree. But I think that people also need to understand there's no point in trying to talk to some people. Like I feel like some people have not come to the conclusion that many people know that the stuff that they believe is hurting people. I'm not going to use the word wrong per se, but it is wrong. But in reference to those idiots, they don't care that the nonsense they believe is harming other people because that's like actively the fucking point. So personally, I don't think you should talk to anybody who's like that. I actually think you should beat the shit out of them. But anyway, again, what I want to say is I find it so interesting to see all these like conversations around feminism, but specifically in the arena of like being a trad wife. If you don't know what a trad wife is, also I feel like I say a lot, but anyway, if you don't know what a trad wife is, it's basically just like a person or a woman who just follows like traditional gender role bullshit. This is also another thing that I hate is when something has just always been what it is and then people try to like assert a different name to it. Like that's honestly it just feels like social media handling, but I just find that so fucking dumb. Like as it's like not the biggest deal in the fucking world, but I feel like the overt labeling of things is detrimental. But yeah, like this whole trad wife, whatever, it's just like a shorthand of traditional wife. Like honestly, I don't know why the fuck people are going along with like trad wife, but just whatever. So the main thing, I think trad wives are ridiculous because me personally, if you just live your life, you wouldn't have to call yourself anything. Like you just won't have to. Like it's just you living your life. Um, but my issue with many of these trad wives, besides the fact that they're fucking ignorant, is that many of these people, there's a plethora of issues, like, let's be fucking serious. But many of these people are obviously quote unquote frauds. I know that's like a weird thing to say. Like, nigga, they're repping homesteading, I guess. Instead of repping Crip, they're repping homesteading. But no, seriously, I feel like many people already know this by now. Like, there's a whole plethora of videos out there of people talking about this. But many of these like quote unquote trad wife influencers who, love to talk about being a trad wife or whatever, and they're fucking lying, or I guess taking a shortcut because the shit they post on social media is their career. I just feel like personally this movement of alt-right, right-wing nonsense just to have a career is fucking embarrassing and will absolutely backfire on a multitude of people in the future. And I hope that we're all there to see it and there to see these people get what the fuck they deserve. But anyway, Again, like you already know that many of these people are essentially liars. Like many of these women specifically are like liars. Like they're not ascertaining or they're not like asserting actual traditional like livelihood because they know that shit fucking sucks. And especially in this day and age, um everybody needs more money. So limiting your household's income to one person, like one breadwinner, like that's not smart in general. But it's just like so interesting to see so many of these women who are like, I financially rely on my husband because I'm a trad wife, and then they're like bankrolling their sixth vacation of the year off of what they post off of TikTok. Like, be fucking serious. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's embarrassing to me. I genuinely pray every day that I figure my life the fuck out because resorting to right wing fucking nonsense just to make some money is a literal nightmare. Like, I'm not even gonna hold you. I have had a nightmare about that. I'm not kidding. And I think what's worse and what's more embarrassing is when these people recognize, especially people like Candace Owens, is like when they recognize that they're a little too far in, so then they try to like what do you call it, like rebrand into a more like mainstream individual. Do not let somebody like Candace Owens rebrand into anything. She's a piece of shit. And I'm gonna leave it there before I say something that's ungodly. But anyway, again, the main thing, many of these trad wives, like everybody fucking knows that they're liars. Like a majority of them, like they're fucking liars. They're making money off of like appealing to loser dudes online. Like, let's be fucking serious. That's their main audience. Like you're not gonna convince me that somebody who goes so hard on that nonsense has a majority audience of women. And I know that for a fact because when you see women who post content about their lives, like they're just relatively normal fucking lives of homesteading or, you know, anything in relation to being like, what do you call it, self sufficient, they just post normal fucking shit. Like that's what it is. They post normal fucking shit. These people lean into right wing politic that they know is only appealing to male demographics who fantasize about oppressing women. Like, you've got to be fucking serious. Like, let's not cut corners around what it is. That's what it is. Like fucking Dochi right now. And it is what it is. And it is what it is. Shout out Boom Bap. But and shout out Dochi too. But no, like seriously, like you've got to be fucking serious. Your audience is, I'm not gonna say vulnerable because be fucking serious, but it's like idiotic men, and that's embarrassing. But again, like these people are obviously like liars. You know, they don't walk that walk. They just talk the talk. If you want to put it that way. But also, if I sound low energy, it's because I am. I haven't eaten anything in days. Or not in days, but I haven't eaten a lot in a couple days. That's a whole nother thing though. I just wanted to mention that in case I sound like I'm dying. I kind of am. But anyway, yeah. But then the main thing, in my personal opinion, is many of these women, and they're especially not just like, I guess not just trad wives, but I guess you could, they fall under the same umbrella. Is like many of these conservative losers who are so desperate to have like women's rights rolled back. Now, I'm not sure if many people know the 19th Amendment in the United States of America is essentially the amendment in the Constitution that gave women the right to vote, specifically white women. Like, let's not leave that part out. Women of color didn't get the right to vote until like the 1960s, I think. So there's that. This is also why people tell you, and I will add this in here because people need to be so fucking serious. This is also why people are telling you that being a TERF, TERFs, first of all, are an insult to feminism. If you're a TERF, don't call yourself a fucking feminist. Be so fucking serious. But this is why people tell you that, if, especially if you're a woman of color, trying to align with TERFs is a joke. Like, that's legitimately a joke. Also, I don't know if you saw that move I just did in this game right here that I'm playing on the screen. That move that I just did to combine the eights, I've never done that kind of move before. I feel like I just elevated my game. Anyway, though, um, wish I could elevate my life, but anyway. So yeah, aligning with TERFs, especially if you're a woman of color, is like a fool's errand, like genuinely, because again, women gain the right to vote let me say that again. Women, quote unquote, women gained the right to vote in the 1920s in the United States of America, and yet it was only white women that could vote. So, what do you think that tells you about, especially all this like hugabaloo around, oh, who's a real woman and who's, oh, we're just protecting women, da da da, from white racist? Like, be fucking serious. They do not give a shit about protecting women. Like, you've got to keep it a fucking stack. Like, nobody has ever fucking believed that. But anyway, the main thing, keeping the main thing the main thing. um, Many of these conservative women who are so adamant on taking part in the fucking like hogwash of conservative male nonsense. So again, like the 19th Amendment, I don't know if people remember, it's so crazy to believe that 2016 is close to 10 years ago, but it is. Wish I was buying stocks or investing instead of being in like the 7th grade. But like close to 10 years ago, like over the course of the past 10 years, actually, I should say, there's been multiple instances of like repeal the 19th trending on Twitter. And you see so many of these conservative women. That girl who shit herself, I can't remember her name. Who fucking cares? Her name is Poopy Pants now, I guess. That girl who shit herself and then basically tried to make a career out of being a conservative loser because she's like not smart enough to do anything else. Um, she is one of those people who literally is like quote unquote joking around with conservative dudes online about how women shouldn't have the right to vote. What part of that is funny? It's like a first of all, like what part of that is fucking funny? No parts of it. But I think especially, let me just like stay organized here in my thoughts because I hate like writing scripts. But like so many conservative women really think that they're having like a key with conservative dudes, like they're having like a laugh along with conservative dudes when they talk down on women, and it's like you are a woman, like hello. Like it's not even funny because we're actually talking about people's lives like being endangered here, but it's just so interesting to see like the hubris and the entitlement of many of these people who think that if like the United States really moved back into a time of like the 1920s, the 1930s, that would somehow just work out for them. And many of these people only think that because they're white. Like, let's be so fucking serious. Many of the conservative women who think like this think so because they're white. And they think that being white in America is going to protect them from being a woman. Like, you've got to be fucking serious. So like there's that nonsense. And I think what I find especially crazy is you see so many women, and I think this is like the main thing that I want to say. You see so many women who are upset about the limitations and the strain of capitalism, and like I don't blame you for a fucking second. Also, I hope my mic is not like, I don't know, sounding weird because it's kind of bumping against my hoodie, but whatever. So yeah, like everybody has a right to be mad at capitalism, like let's be fucking serious. But claiming that rolling back the achievements of feminism is somehow going to, I don't know, put $10 million in your bank account is beyond insane to me. Like genuinely, you have, and this is what I mean when I say like this is, or this is what I mean. Like this is such like a white thing. Like I'm not even gonna like expand too much on that, but I will. But this is such a white thing where it's like your life is being inconvenienced in one way. So you think the solution is, oh yeah, let's just take people's rights away. What? Like, what? Like, actually, what? Like, what the fuck are these people talking about? But like it's beyond insane to me whenever I fucking hear that. Like I'm sure you've all seen the TikTok videos, you've seen other people's commentary videos where it's like, "Oh, you're complaining about this and you're thinking feminism's to blame when you should be complaining about capitalism." Like every person has said everything by now. But like it is still just so fucking crazy to me because it's just like again, you don't have enough money, rent is too high, groceries cost too much, and you think the solution to that is okay, let me make sure that I don't have voting rights. Like, hello? Like, are you fucking serious? But, like, it's not even funny, actually, but it's just, like, the ridiculousness of some people it's getting comical. Like, it really is. It's getting fucking comical. And again, many of these women who think that rolling back the achievements of feminism is going to put a rich man in their fucking home, you don't have a rich man now. Like who the fuck told you that if you got rid of all the achievements of feminism or anything about women's rights, that the government was somehow going to make a mandate to make a millionaire marry you? Like, we've just got to be so fucking fair. Like, I don't know if y'all have seen some of these videos on TikTok where it's like girls who are like, "Oh my god, thanks to feminism, now I have to work and I can't marry a rich dude who's gonna pay for everything." It's like, you can't marry a rich dude now. So, like, who told you that if all of a sudden you had no rights, a rich man was just gonna like meet you? Like what? Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Because seeing that kind of bullshit, like, it's beyond me. And it's not funny. Like, it's really not. But it's just like, what the fuck are some of these people talking about? Like, genuinely. And again, like, if you want to complain about capitalism, by all means, like, look at what the fuck is going on. But thinking that you're going to be saved from capitalism by getting rid of rights, which gave you more, or getting rid of, or rolling back, I should say, like achievements that actually gave you more personhood even under capitalism. Like, I feel like there, obviously this is like a more complicated conversation, but people seem to not understand that like the infringement on people's rights is beholden to capitalism. Like, of course, white people and their nonsense just ruining other people's lives for the sake of it, so there's also that nonsense. But when you look at like enslavement in the United States, you look at, again, feminism and women not being able to enter the workforce. Like, these are all things that were beholden to capitalist ideas that also worked in tandem with misogyny and with racism and with all these things. So, again, under capitalism, when you had no rights, or when your grandmothers had no rights, they were being treated like human livestock. And you think with the same system of capitalism, just if we go back, it'll be different this time. Like, what the fuck are you people talking about? Like, genuinely, like, it's not even funny again, but it's just like you have people that are like that. Like, that's literally some people's thinking, where it's like, oh yeah, let's just run it back. It'll be different this time. Like, minority conservatives. Oh, it'll be different this time. Right. I'm sure you're going to get a different performance of the very same bigotry. I'm sure it'll be different this time. Like, that is legitimately how so many of these people fucking think. And like, I'm just so confused. Like, I'm not confused because, I mean, you understand why these people think like that, but then when you understand why, that makes you even more confused, because if I understand why you think like that and why that bullshit is wrong, how do you not understand how it's wrong? Like, stupidity is becoming an epidemic. Like, it is. It genuinely is. So, like, to see that kind of nonsense, I don't fucking know. Like, it's I don't know. But like, again, like, women who really think that, oh yeah, if we just roll back the achievements of feminism, then, oh, I won't have to pay for anything anymore and I won't have to work anymore and da 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 da. Like, it's like the same shit people say about housewives, where it's like, oh, they're telling housewives, oh, you will never have to work, you just stay at home and lounge around all day. Da da da. Who the fuck told you that housewives don't do any work? And then, mind you, this is another thing, is that many of these women who are like this, where they're talking about, oh, I don't have to do any more work anymore. Yeah, but you have to coexist with a conservative man in your household. Like, let's be so fucking serious. And how did that look for your grandmothers who were hopped up on every antidepressant known to man? Like, you, like, it's not funny. It's really not funny. But like, you've got to be fucking serious. Like, you've got to be fucking serious. And like, it's not funny, but it's just like, you, like, really, you've got to be fucking serious, like, genuinely. Because like, seeing that kind of nonsense, like, I'm telling you, like, I just don't fucking know. But again, literally just like lost my train of thought, kind of. But yeah, like, so many of these women who are like, especially so many of these conservative women, like, they're fucking losers in my opinion. They're, I mean, to me, like, many of these people, they're hypocrites. That's like, a first of all, they're hypocrites. Like, many of these women, again, who are white, they recognize that bigotry and ignorance is like a complete package. Like, it's a complete package of every ism and phobia, but they just don't want the sexism or the misogyny. That's why I'm telling you that these people are fucking hypocrites. Because if you genuinely believed in, oh, this thing is good, then you have to be okay with that thing happening to you in either way. It's like the abortion conversation, where you have so many of these people are like, oh, abortion is wrong, abortion is wrong. I think many people have known that thing where it's like the only ethical abortion is my abortion. Yeah, that's the kind of hypocrisy I'm talking about. Is like many of these people, they want conservative right wing nonsense all the way, but they only want liberalism for them. It's like again minority conservatives who are homophobic, but then they just don't want the racism part. Sorry, it's a complete package. Like that's how it works. It's a complete fucking package. You can't just be like, oh no, I just want to substitute out the sexism for more racism. Like this is fucking Chipotle. Like that's not how it fucking works. But you have so many people who are so hopped up on wanting to like harm other people that they don't even consider that, or even when they do, they just decide that it's like a good enough thing. Like that kind of stupidity, it's becoming an epidemic. I mean, it already has been. I mean, how long have white people been around? It's always been an epidemic, but it's just like genuine nonsense, especially with everything that's going on. That's why I'm saying like it's low key not funny because we're talking about endangering people's lives. Like there are already women whose lives have been lost in literally within the span of 2 years due to the rollback of abortion rights, and it's not funny. And mind you, many of the same people who supported this are going to turn around and say, "Oh, that's not true," or "Oh, well, there's nothing we can do." That right there is a whole nother thing. Be weary of people who are claiming that bigotry and ignorance is somehow going to help any demographic in the long run. Like, no, it's fucking not. And in some way, somehow, if bigotry is the only thing that can make your life better, maybe you need to reevaluate what your life is. Or you're gonna end up like fucking Elon Musk, has all the money. I don't know if y'all seen that shit on Twitter. I'm kind of like going off here on different things, but we're gonna get back to the main point. But I don't know if you've seen that thing on Twitter. Elon Musk knew who the fuck ever that girl is. She's also a piece of shit. Like, trust me. Her name is like Ashley St. Clair or some shit, and now she's trying to like expose Elon Musk for what we are already fucking knew, that he's a piece of shit. Um, but she's like trying to expose him because there's like some custody battle over their kids. And I don't know if y'all have seen those text messages, but he's like paranoid. Like he's paranoid that people are out to get him, like all that kind of whatever. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. Is like if you're just a good fucking person, you're not gonna be paranoid that people are out to fucking get you, like at all. So when you see so many of these people who are like acting like, oh, we need this form of bigotry in our life, da da da, and then it's like again, it's a fool's errand, and everybody loses. Like people are losing their lives, people are losing their peace of mind. Not that Elon Musk deserves it, but like, do you understand what I'm getting at? Like it's a lose-lose situation in the end for quite literally everybody in one way or another. Like it doesn't matter how severe the loss is, it's still a loss. And that is quite literally like the epitome of like right-wing politics in our general society. It's an overall loss in general. But again, probably talk about that more another day. Like the main thing here, in terms of again like feminism and conservative women, yeah, like many of these women, like they're acting like, oh yeah, if I just have a dude to pay for everything, it's gonna be perfectly good and fine and whatever. Um, and again, even if that were the case, where you get married to a dude who pays for everything, you're still negating, or you're not, realizing the fact that you still have to deal with a conservative man in your household who adamantly hates women. Yeah, I think I'd rather take being single for the rest of my fucking life. Like, genuinely. Also, I don't know if a number of people, because I know some people, actually, let me just leave that. Just like stay on topic here. But yeah. So, like, again, many of these conservative women, or even just women in general, who are so adamant on wanting to go back to quote unquote whatever, like you're a fucking idiot. Like genuinely, there's no way to put it. I feel like, listen, I'm all for educating people, but when somebody is willingly stupid, you can call them what they are, which is fucking stupid. Um, like you've got to be fucking serious. And I just really, 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 really believe that many of these women, they will only like learn once they see it for themselves. That piece of shit, Lauren Southern, I'm not sure if many people know who she is. If you don't, good for you. But that piece of shit, that piece of human excrement, put out some kind of article where she was talking about how she was like, she tried the trad wife, whatever, for a year with like her ex-husband, and she said it was like being a fucking slave. It's like, oh, shocker. What the fuck do you think housewives were doing in the 1920s? Because it wasn't living it up like they were in fucking Hollywood, that's for sure. Like, you gotta be fucking serious. Lauren Southern, let me actually not go any further before I say something that's ungodly. But again, like so many of these women who think that, like, realistically, many of these people want to be like royalty. Like, if we're keeping it another stack, these people want to be like European aristocrats. But again, that's going to be another thing, I guess, to talk about later. So I guess keeping the main thing here is that if you're a woman, period, and you think that rolling back the achievements of feminism is somehow going to be a net positive for you, you're fucking dumb. Like, that's the only way to put it. You're fucking stupid. Um and if you really really believe the straight up like fantasy lies coming from dudes, but especially conservative dudes, about how, oh no, like you've seen that whole thing, Harrison, what the fuck is that dude's name? That football player who was getting shit on for some shit he said at like a graduation ceremony. Like, first of all, nobody fucking asked. Like, nobody fucking asked. But he was getting shit on for that kind of shit. And this is another thing, actually, before I continue on. You know, I think many people have probably seen what he had to say or what he did say. People did hear what he had to say. I watched the videos too. Typical conservative nonsense babble. But I think what really caught my ear, this is like, it's not funny because I'm looking about to laugh, but it's not funny. But what really caught my ear was this one thing that I've literally always fucking heard. You even see it like in movies and shit, like movies, TV shows, you know. But even in real life, like, you'll hear this is, and this is again, like, this is the point of like the fantasy fucking angle of this nonsense. So essentially, Harrison, what's that dude's name? It was like something like butt something. I can't remember. So we'll just call him Harrison. He was talking about how, again, college graduation, nobody fucking asked, and he starts saying, oh, all the girls here, your highest achievement will actually be being a mother and being a wife and da 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 da. This is another thing before I continue on with my other thing. I will never understand people like Lauren Southern, A, because I'm not a human piece of filth, but also because you're hearing somebody say to you, oh, you're only capable, like, the ceiling of your capabilities is popping out children and being a servant. And you thought that was like a compliment. Like, in what universe is that a fucking compliment for somebody to limit your capabilities as a human being? Like, that's never been a fucking compliment, ever. And it's just so telling how so many people, so many women especially, they, like, I'm like, I mean, I get it. It's like, I don't know, I guess it sounds good on the surface, even though no, it fucking doesn't. But like, I just don't understand that. But again, so he's like saying, oh, you know, we're your biggest achievement will be being a wife and a mom and blah 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 blah. Again, typical conservative, whatever. But what really caught my ear was when he said, "Oh, my wife had career ambitions that she wanted badly," or something like that. And then he was like, "But if you ask her today, hold on, let me just like fix my mic for a second." And he was like, "But if you ask her today, being a wife and a mom, if she regrets it for a second, she would tell you absolutely not." That was the part that really caught my ear because that's a fucking lie. Like, that's a fucking lie. And the reason I say that's a fucking lie is because, A, this woman probably puts up with him and his nonsense because he's a multimillionaire. He plays for, I believe, the Kansas City Chiefs. If you have no clue who the fuck I'm talking about, he's a football player, quote unquote, and he plays in the NFL. So yeah, so his wife probably puts up with his nonsense for the same reason that many people would do anything, which is money. That's the first of all. But secondly, and money is something we'll come back to later. But secondly, no human being is overjoyed to give up their ambitions. Like, it doesn't matter what the ambitions are. I mean, even with what we're talking about, there are women who want to be stay-at-home wives, stay-at-home moms, whatever, and then they can't because, you got bills to pay. Some people might be disappointed about that. Like, human beings are human beings. Like, I feel like I shouldn't have to expand too much on that, but no person who has goals and dreams and ambitions is overjoyed to give those up. So every single time I hear a dude say that, where he's like, "Oh yeah, my wife was more than happy to drop everything she wanted to do what I wanted to do." Does that even sound believable? Like, it's not funny. Like, it's actually not funny because this is how people get wrapped up in like abuse. But it's like, does that even sound real? Like, does that sound realistic? No. No, it fucking doesn't. But you see so many people, and there's a whole other conversation in there about who is like the expense of upholding this BS. Like, that's a whole nother conversation. But whenever you hear dudes say that, like, that's how you know that there's probably something going up in their household, because again, no human being is overjoyed, like over the moon, to give up their ambitions. That's why even some women who are stay-at-home moms for a bit, they then like return back to work because they loved what they did. Like, that's how it is. So to claim that, oh yeah, XYZ person, or like my wife, my spouse, was over the fucking moon to do what I wanted to do and nothing else. Yeah, like, that sounds good in fan fiction. It's not real life though. Like, it's just not. So whenever I hear that, that's how you know. Like, that's kind of like the sign, you know what I mean? But again, going back to like the money thing, and again, like, you see so many of these conversations taking place on like TikTok and whatever. Um, like, many people again, or many of these women, like, they're complaining about capitalism first and foremost, but then alongside that, again, like, this whole like rollback of women's rights, and somehow that's going to like solve all your problems, is that many of these women are not considering financial abuse. And even before I talk about that, even when you look at like the trad wife lifestyle or whatever the fuck, it only looks good on Instagram for the same reason that everything looks good on Instagram, is because people pay money to put up a performance. That's what that is. I mean, we've all seen the ballerina farm saga. If these people were poor as dirt, nobody would give a shit about them. And I'm just gonna add this little tidbit in here before I talk about financial abuse. I'm not sure if many people know about this exhibit. I can't remember the name, but it's this exhibit. It's this like art exhibit on the conception of Planned Parenthood. I can't remember the Planned Parenthood founder's name, um, but she was low key a piece of shit, so who cares? But the art exhibit was basically featuring a bunch of letters that were written to this woman. Again, she's like the founder of Planned Parenthood, and there's a bunch of letters that have been written to her when she was in the process of founding Planned Parenthood. I only saw bits and pieces of this exhibit like online, like on social media, and I'm not even gonna hold you, that shit was heart-wrenching. Like, it really was. That shit like made me fucking sick. Many of the women who were writing letters to her were writing obviously because they needed like reproductive assistance, like abortion and stuff like that. And if you see some of these letters that are featured, they're actually, I believe, the messages are like sewn onto cloth or whatever. And if you see some of these messages, they are egregious. They are repulsive. They are heartbreaking. It is fucking terrible what some of these women were going through. There was one where I remember this woman said that she had like close to 19 kids or something like that. She said that she had like over a dozen kids, and her family were poor. They lived on a farm, and she's like, I can't do this work, like, cuz you're working on a farm. Like, that's also another thing that I'm like going to talk about. um so she was like, I'm working on a farm, we're poor, we don't have enough money, and yet this man is still like forcing me to have kids. Like, hello? Like, these, like, some of these stories were heart wrenching. And then another part of that, which is again why I say that so many of these things are beholden to capitalism, is because there was one letter that said, I already have so many kids. Why is this happening to me? Rich people don't have so many kids, so why should I when I'm so poor? That was on one of those letters. Specifically said that rich people don't have so many kids, so why should I be forced to? That is a great, great, great segue into exactly the problem with so many of these like trad wife nonsense, whatever, is that it only looks good, like I said before, for the same reason that anything looks good on social media or especially on Instagram is because of money. Like, I mean, again, this is something that people have said over and over again, but I'll still say it again because why not? um, is like these people have money. Like again, the ballerina farm person, her family, or I guess their family, his family, like the husband, they're billionaires. They're rich as fuck. And me personally, I know some people are going to be like, "Oh, this is a bad feminist, whatever." I don't care. I don't think Ballerina Farm is a victim in any sense of the word. I don't think she's being put through anything terrible. Is her husband probably terrible? I mean, yeah. But do I think do I think she's being put through something terrible? No, like not a chance. And that's a whole nother conversation. But um, yeah. So like so many of these women, or let me not go there, but or let me not say that yet. But again, like the financial part of the whole thing, it's like so many women who think that again, like rolling back the achievements of feminism is somehow going to liberate them from capitalism. If anything, it's probably going to do even worse of the opposite. Because again, how many women, even today, are being put through financial abuse? And again, you think rolling back women's rights is somehow going to protect you more from financial abuse? Like, hello? Like, it's again, it's none of it is funny, but it's just like we're not a society of thinkers. It seems like this is not a society of thinkers at all. Like, again, it's not funny at all, but it's just like when I see some of this shit, where again, many of these women are like, I don't want to pay for anything, and I don't, I don't have enough money, and I just want a guy to pay for anything. Listen, I don't hold you at all. Like, shut up. I mean, if you're a man, why don't you have money? But no, but like seriously, it's just like you need to be serious. Like you need to be aware. Like you need to have common sense, I guess is more so what I'm getting to. It's like you need to have fucking common sense. Because again, it's just like who is telling you that the reality that your grandparents, your grandmothers, your great grandmothers lived through, who is telling you that that's not going to happen? Like I said, so many people want a different reiteration of the same bigotry. Who the fuck told you that's gonna happen? It's not. Like, it's genuinely not. So, to see so many of these things where it's like, oh, again, I want a guy to pay for everything and I don't want to work anymore. Nobody wants to work. Like, be fucking serious. But it's just like, and that's a whole nother thing I'll talk about. But, yeah, like, again, the trad wife lifestyle only looks interesting because those people have fucking money. I mean, you see, I think many people have seen some of the poorer people, like the people who don't have as much money, some of those moms where they post their shit online and they get dragged to hell and back because it doesn't look as glamorous or as fun because they're showing you the reality of what it means to live that lifestyle. And again, many people who did live that lifestyle were poor. They did not have enough money. Like I'm not sure if I should say like live that lifestyle because we're talking about a time where women didn't have rights, but it's like your average American, let's put it that way, your average North American, let's just focus on the United States specifically. Like, not everybody had enough means, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, had enough money. And even then, in households where they did, like, financial abuse was rife. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was happening all the fucking time. So let me just focus in on the poor mom thing. Let's sound like fucking poor mom, rich mom. You know that fucking book with a rich dad, poor dad. Oh my god. Anyway, um, yeah. So many of these like moms who are relying on like welfare, SNAP, or they just don't live a rich lifestyle, they get dragged. They get dragged like hell because it's like, oh, that's icky. I don't want to live like that. That's gross. It's like, yeah, that's because not everybody lives like fucking Ballerina Farm, who I guarantee you, and I will place heavy bets on this, like I'm an idiotic gambler, is that that woman probably has a nanny. I know in that article they said that she doesn't. I don't believe that. Like I don't. But anyway, so again, when you see poor moms who rely on one income that isn't so high, or they rely on food stamps, and they're like, they post their own little content of like, oh, here's what my kids are eating for dinner, here's what a day in my life looks like, and they get fucking shit on because the reality is not as glamorous. It's not as glamorous. Like the fantasy is no longer, as they say on TikTok, it's no longer fantasizing. The fantasy is no longer fantasizing. It's not giving because the fantasy was fake. I mean, that's what it is. It's a fucking fantasy. It was fake the whole time. And there's a larger conversation in here as to how the things that they want people to do, as in when I say the things, I mean like the government, like people like that fucking Harrison loser, like the things they want people to do or that they claim people should be doing, people actually want to do some of that stuff, but they can't because we live in a society that has made it practically impossible. So again, like, oh, women want to be stay-at-home moms. Some women do. Women don't want to be fucking oppressed, but people like Harrison, whatever the fuck his last name is, probably doesn't know the difference. So there are some women who want to be stay-at-home wives, but you got bills to pay. You got to pay your fucking $2,500 rent to a greedy landlord. Yeah, there's no time to be searching for a fucking rich dude who's probably not even going to give you money anyway. So, like, people want to do so many things, and we do not have the societal conditions to actually enable people to do certain things. So, that's a whole nother conversation, though. But getting into, again, like the financial abuse thing, is financial abuse is so common and so many people like don't realize it. And like my heart low key breaks for people who are stuck in relationships where they have to rely on an abuser. Like I like genuinely, even if some people are probably pieces of shit, just like that Lauren Southern human filth, I would still feel bad for anybody who has to rely on an abuser because that is terrible. That is terrible and that is horrible and it is like it's horrific. Like there's no other way to put it. It's horrific. Because when you have to rely on someone like that, that person knows that they can essentially just do anything and then you don't have a say. Like that's what that leads to and that's horrible. So financial abuse is so common because so many women don't even realize, so many people even, but especially women, if you want to talk about like gender dynamics in marriage, don't even realize that they're being financially abused. I saw this Instagram post the other day. Now, this is a fucking random social media post. You don't have to believe this. But I saw a social media post the other day on Instagram of this woman talking about how her husband is basically financially abusing her. And she said that when they met and they were dating and they were talking, he said like, oh, like why don't you quit your job to become a stay-at-home mom, because they want to start having kids. And she was like, for sure, but you have to pay me what I was making before. Apparently this nigga had enough bands to pay her 50K every paycheck that came in, I guess. And that was apparently the salary that she was making before. I think she said she was like a librarian or some shit, and she was making like 50 to 60K. So once she started having kids, starts taking care of kids, her husband then starts acting fucking foolish. Starts saying, oh, I have to pay you a bit less, or I have to give you a bit less because whatever, or because I have to put this in savings. And basically, she was saying that their original deal that was supposed to be like 50 to 60K of her getting that from his paycheck turned into 30K, turned into 20K, turned into 10K until it turned into nothing. And when she was like, okay, well, this is what we agreed upon, and yet it's not happening, his response was, what the fuck is your problem? I pay all the bills and you have a roof over your head. What are you bitching about? Obviously, that's not verbatim, but that's basically what she was detailing that he said. That right there is what the fuck I'm talking about in terms of financial abuse, in terms of many women being stupid enough to believe that something is just going to work out if they literally limit their capabilities in society, and also with the whole thing about people selling you a fantasy. Like how common is that kind of story in real life? Like I said, it's a social media post, you don't have to fucking believe it, but that story is very common in real life. And again, many of these conservative women, especially who want to be shackled to a conservative dude who openly resents women, and you think that you're going to be the one woman he doesn't fucking hate if he realizes that he has total control over you. And you think that's how that's going to go. Like, like it's not funny. Like, again, it's not funny because we're talking about abuse, but it's just like can you like live in reality for 3 fucking seconds? Like I feel like that is the statement of the year. I mean, who the fuck am I to make the statement of the year? But I just feel like for me that's the statement of the year with so many fucking people. It's like, can you please just live in reality for 3 seconds, like genuinely? Because the bullshit that's going on, it gets ridiculous. Like all of it is ridiculous. But again, especially many of these conservative women, like again, conservative dude who openly resents women, openly hates women, and you think, oh yeah, but if we take away women's rights and women's protections, it's just gonna go to plan. You know, it's gonna go well. It's whatever. Like, bruh, like, can we just be so fucking for real right now? But just like end off here because I'm low key just rambling, or at least I'm rambling now. Um, like, yeah, financial abuse is real. All kinds of abuse are real. Women who, and I feel like this is like the main crux of this video, is like so many of these people, they're trying to, so many of these women, especially conservative women, they're trying to position feminism as like the crux of their issues. Again, like the whole, oh, I have to work now and working sucks. Working sucks for everybody. Like, oh my gosh. Like, be fucking serious. Like, oh, no, I have to work and that sucks and everything costs too much and da da da. Again, you want an alleviation from capitalism, not feminism. Like the problem is not feminism, the problem is you. Like and not even you. Like that's kind of an ironic thing to say because the problem is capitalism, but you are the problem for believing that feminism is the problem. And it's like it's just insane to me how history is so open and it's so right there that you see so many of these women who just think again, oh, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be different this time. It's gonna work out for me. Really? Is that what you think? But anyway, like yeah, the problem is not feminism. The problem is you. And I'm gonna leave it there. Like maybe I don't know, maybe I'll talk more about this kind of stuff. But I don't know, I just had some stuff that I was thinking of. Kind of just wanted to get it off my chest because again, I don't talk to anybody else. But yeah. So I think I'll end it off here.